What was supposed to be the next big thing, but totally flopped. Amazon's shopping buttons. They pushed really hard for those, and I never saw the point. Crystal Pepsi, new Coke, orange juice and toothpaste flavored Lay's potato chips. Edit for correct Pepsi variant. Connie 2012. Not entirely relevant, but I liked the trend where everybody wanted the smallest cell phone possible. For 20 years cell phones got smaller and smaller, often being the main selling point of the phone. Then all of a sudden you could watch videos on your phone, and almost overnight the trend reversed to larger is better. My friend who studies medicine had to install Second Life about 2 years ago for a class meeting. I don't get why they couldn't have used Skype, but okay. McDonald's pizza. Soap shoes. These were like normal shoes, but you could grind on rails with them via an indent in the sole. If you heard of these things from somewhere that wasn't Sonic Adventure 2, please tell me where, and please tell me where I can buy a pair. Man, I remember as a kid seeing the Ninja Turtles and Dick Tracy use videocoms and thinking it was so cool and wanting one for myself, and now if someone FaceTimes me, I have a panic attack. Not sure if this one has totally flopped yet, but I noticed while in Costco the other day that there are no longer any curved TVs. If Costco is no longer carrying them, then I think we can assume they're going the way of the dodo. Mini disc. From what I've gathered in this thread, Google threw a lot of shit to see if it would stick LMAO. Google Plus was supposed to be the answer to Facebook. Second Life. In the beginning, companies even bought real estate in there to allow people to visit them. Movie Pass. 3D TV. Our and micro consoles in general. HD DVD. Still remember half the movies being blue and the others red. Vine 2. The Dark Universe Cinematic Universe, starting with 2017's *THE Mummy. Quadraphonic entertainment systems in the early 1970s were supposed to replace stereophonic systems. Now they are chiefly remembered for inspiring the name of The Who's second rock opera. This one might be a bit obscure, just because I've only ever met one other person familiar with it, but Google's Project Era modular smartphone was looking like it could have been the end-all be-all of smartphones. Based off the Phonoblocks idea of having a Lego-like hot swappable module phone, the idea was that you could switch out any components of the phone on the fly. Camera, fingerprint scanner, even different quality screens. Conceptually, it really looked like it could take over the phone market, as it would lead to people not having to buy whole new phones anymore, but rather replacement or upgraded parts to a phone they already liked, thereby reducing costs and increasing utility. You don't want a phone with 5 cameras that inflate the cost unnecessarily. Just buy a 1-camera module. You want a 1440p Super AMOLED screen to replace your 720p regular screen. Buy one and swap it in. However, like many Google projects, it died off for myriad reasons and the long-standing era of $1,000 smartphone slabs lived on. Johnny Manziel. Asbestos. Technically it was a hit. Right until it flopped, when people figured out the whole inhaling rock fibers is not healthy thing. Google Wave. It was supposed to replace email with a more collaborative approach. Essentially it was like a dynamically created discussion board you'd share with select people, and you could have a more readable discussion than one with a bunch of forwards and CCs and the like. I thought it was a good idea, but it flopped big time and Google got rid of it after a few years. The Panama Papers. Edit. Since I have your attention, I'd like to direct you to Isage's response here. PT demo. Google Glass. That streaming service that lasted like 2 months. Guppy or Guppy I think. Even bad timing aside, a mobile-based streaming service at a time when no one could really leave their house, the marketing was just horrible. I saw ads for it for nearly a week before I realized it was a new video streaming service, and by that point, was so annoyed by the ads and trusting everything I didn't care at all, just out of spite. Also, I mean, it was just YouTube you have to pay for and got worse content. Edit. It was Quibi. It made so little impact I couldn't recall at first. Hoverboards. I remember in a span of 3 months everyone had them and showed them off, and then they just disappeared. Edit. After further investigation I discovered they were banned in my province a number of years ago. The Divergent series. It was supposed to kinda have a Hunger Games concept and all, and try to be a replacement. The last 2 movies ended up being so unwatchable. Edit. If anyone is reading this and still gives a shit, I would like to mention another movie adaptation of a novel. The Giver. Book was great, movie was terrible. It was almost nothing like the book, and if you read the book, then this movie will make you mad. Jonas is supposed to be 11, turning 12 at the ceremony of 12. Instead, they cast a motherfucking 25-year-old to play a 12-year-old, so they bumped up Jonas's age to 16, which was dumb. The movie also got Asher and Fionn's assignments wrong. Rosemary didn't even appear in the book. Didn't she apply for release 5 weeks after receiving her assignment and was never seen or heard from again? Rosemary and almost everyone else was supposed to be 12, but they were played by grown-ass adults, so their ages got bumped up, which was dumb. If you're gonna be in charge of adapting a novel into a movie, then please, actually read the book, don't just skim through it. I'm reading this book again in class, and that means, yep, I'll have to watch this movie again. Segways were supposed to revolutionize travel and replace the automobile. Now they are just used for guided tours for dorks and tourist traps. Airship travel. These were the next awesome way to travel long distances. In fact, the spire on top of the Empire State Building was meant as an anchoring point for airships. The Hindenburg kind of put a damper on it, though. Hydrogen cars were a promising new form of motorized vehicle. They were supposed to be incredibly good for the environment, emitting only water as the exhaust. They exist, but not like how some people imagined. I was a pretty big hydrogen car believer at the time. There are some hydrogen stations, but mostly centered around California. Thing is that the hydrogen is quite expensive and not very efficient compared to smaller engines, hybrids, and EVs. The hydrogen is also somewhat inefficient to produce, store, and distribute as well. You can actually get a hydrogen car though, they're out there. The Toyota Mirai is a really good example. Out of all hydrogen cars, that one is definitely most popular. In fact, Toyota pays for $15,000 worth of hydrogen in your first few years of ownership, since it's so expensive. This means that for your first 3-ish years of owning one, you might not have to pay a penny in fuel. As you can see, I'm still a hydrogen advocate. Don't expect to be able to take it very far from your nearest hydrogen station though. Edit. A word. Laserdiscs the size of records. The US version of Coupling. It was peddled hard by NBC to be the next Friends when that show ended. Ike. There was interviews with the cast and they were already musing about the show going into multiple seasons. There was big buzz, since it was such a hit in the UK. It lasted 4 episodes. You guys remember the Thief Festival disaster? Elizabeth Holmes. The Segway. It was supposed to change the way everyone lived. The invention of the century or something like that. A really big deal. Xbox Kinect. Might be showing my age but. Zimmer.